Well, I think there's two things that I think are that I would question about this. I mean, first, I do think that there's the idea of a carrot. Certainly, you look at the level of innovation someplace like here in the United States versus some of these the countries in Europe. Things like pharmaceutical drugs. The United States is responsible for almost all of the breakthroughs that occur in medicine. And a lot of that is because we were one of the few places that still has a big carrot out there, a big reward for investment and for research on this. So I still think that having
you realize, Carrie, that most of our pharmaceuticals are developed using federal funds.
Sure, yeah, and there's public and private partnerships and a whole lot of things that go on there, but still the fact that we have the profit motive does motivate a lot of people and a lot of companies to invest in this.
And you realize also that the vast majority of new patents for drugs are not actually new drugs. They're just changing one molecule in a drug so it can be flipped from generic back to patent.
Sure, but certainly there are a lot of breakthroughs, and the important breakthroughs, a lot of them don't really matter, but there are some.
Sure.
One of the great things that have happened in the last several decades is we have so many more treatments, and in particular.
I'm agreeing, but what I'm saying, Carrie, is that would happen whether somebody could make $10 billion from a breakthrough or whether they could merely make, say, $5 or $10 million.
Okay, and I think that one of the things that sure, and I'm certainly not going to say that everybody who gets rich deserves how much money they got. You look at, I think of people like baseball players and movie stars and think, boy, that's crazy. This guy seems like a bad person and seems as though they totally didn't work to deserve this money. So I understand that impulse.
So let's roll back the Reagan tax cuts.
Pardon me?
So let's roll back the Reagan tax cuts.
No, but then I think to myself, well, who am I to decide that? Who am I to place a limit on how much money the marketplace can allocate somebody? The question is not is the free market perfect and ends up giving all the people who deserve money the most money. It's what is the best and freest thing, because when you start talking about right now, one of the things that really concerns me is when you start having 50% of the country is going to start becoming recipients of money from the government instead of paying something. And I actually think it's an important. We should pay some taxes to support our government because we do get some value from our.
But those 50%, they're paying sales tax and property tax and FICA taxes. They're paying taxes.
Sure, but a lot of people aren't paying. At the end of the day, a lot of people have very little liability, and at some point that means that they're going to be voting simply for more favors for themselves, and that simply isn't fair. And I think there is an element of keeping government under control so that a majority cannot exploit a minority, or whether that's a minority based on race or based on income level.
On income level. Okay, I'll let you have the last word there. Thank you, Carrie. Good talking with you. Carrie Lucas, IWF.org.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-303-2270.
Welcome back to the True People's Radio, the Thom Hartmann Radio Program. And I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but that's pretty strange. Maria Esther Castillo, 45, of Oswego, New York, arrested on a flight. She was pulling the hair of a blind woman. She was spanking a flight attendant on the rear, throwing wet cloths across the plane. And here's where it gets really weird. The flight crew came back and restrained her with duct tape. I'm telling you, it is the all-purpose product. Never go anywhere without duct tape. 866-303-2270, our telephone number. Sam in the Netherlands calling. Hey,
Hi.
Sam.
Thom, you're not crazy. First of all, do with the Bush tax cuts what Walmart does to prices. Roll them back.
There you go.
That's one thing.
I think we then need to roll back the Reagan tax cuts.
Right, I'm with you on the whole thing. What I do want to call about and mention, since I'm calling from Europe, is set the previous caller straight on a few things there. Mm-hmm. I've had the privilege to live here over 10 years now. As a kid, I used to visit this place as well, many places in Europe. And what I have seen as a kid and what I saw when I arrived here 10 years ago, that was like day and night difference. I mean, It's amazing what upgrades I've seen. And then in the last 10 years, the same thing applies again. You know, you see roads being built, and people have gotten richer. You see it. They spend more. They have lavish holidays. Of course, they have plenty of free time over here, so they can enjoy that as well. And the real difference in income is, it's indexed over here, meaning every year it goes up with indexation, more or less inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So in 10 years' time, you know, even though your salary didn't go up, it did go up.
Right.
That's one thing. And the real difference you're going to notice is people's bank accounts, where you're going to notice that your average European has, you know, at least 50 to 100,000 in the bank by age 45. Compare that to Americans.
Yeah, whereas the average American right now has $7,000 in credit card debt.
Exactly. So, you know, it's subtle differences like that.
Yeah.
And
when
there's nothing wrong with paying higher taxes.
Right. When Carrie Lucas suggests that I'm saying that there is a finite pie, she's right. I am saying that there is a relatively finite pie within a particular economy, and that, you know, if the rich get much, much richer, it means that everybody else has to get a little poorer. I am saying that. And what the proof of that is the conservative assertion that there should not be a minimum wage, that there needs to be low wages in order to provide an incentive for people to work, and which makes no sense to me at all. But the suggestion that and the fact that whenever you see unemployment go up in the United States, you also see the stock market go up, because they know that it's good for business, because people will start working for less, so the rich will get even more, and it just it's killing our society.
That's another thing, the stock market disconnect. Over here, you know, the stock markets are going down, but it's not like people are feeling it in their pockets. The stock market is not representative of the real economy. Over in the States, you cannot really say that. The stock market is the real economy. If that goes down, over here,
it's not. It's
Germany,
just it's the only part of the economy that's it's not the real economy.
At the lowest level ever.
Right, but I'm sorry.
Oh no, I said I read a report yesterday in the paper. Unemployment levels in Germany are the lowest ever.
Right. And that's the real economy. And in the United States, that's not reported on. What's reported on is not the state of working people. What's reported on is the state of investors. All of our news, the business sections of our newspaper, all of our newscasts, what they talk about when they're talking about the economy is how is the economy for wealthy investors. Or for that matter, average investors. Not how is the economy for people who work for a living, which is really what an economy is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Sam, thanks a lot for the call,
you're very welcome. Keep on this great radio show.
Yeah, I'll do it
all the way from Europe.
I'll do my very best, and thanks for listening to us there in the Netherlands on the web. William in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Hey, William, what's up?
Tom, I just wanted to ask about nationalization. I know that, you know, during World War II or World War I and World War II, we nationalized the railroads, for instance, and now that gas prices have been so high, people were talking about nationalizing the oil companies. And, you know, to some extent I was thinking, what about, like, financial institutions? And, you know, they're actually saying that that's sort of what we did with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Mm-hmm. I'm ambivalent. I can argue for or against nationalization of our mineral resources. I think that that probably a middle ground is the most appropriate, like Alaska does, where they heavily tax. When you drill oil and you pull it out of the ground, they say, some of that money is ours because that oil belongs to all of us in the state. And that's how Sarah Palin can write a $2,300 check or a $3,200 check, I guess it was last year, to every citizen of Alaska, because they're saying this oil belongs to all of us. Should we do the same thing with everything under the ground? Should we do the same thing with coal? Should we do it with gold? Should we do it with copper? Things like that. I think a case can be made at a certain level to